Hey guys, welcome back here to Advanced Bass Fishing, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel today. And guys, we are in the middle of spring bass fishing right now. At the time of filming this video, we're in the middle of April. It is the heyday of bass fishing for the year. If you gave me 1 week of the year to fish, out of 12 months, give me the second week of April. This is when the fishing is really good everywhere. And one of my favorite baits to fish and catch fish on this time of year, especially over about the next 3 or 4 weeks, is a wake bait. This is the Megabass iJack. We're going to be talking about it today. I'm going to give you guys tips and advice on fishing a wake bait in the springtime of the year. And also guys, I'll put my iJack. This is a Megabass iJack. I'll link this in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to pick one up after the video here. But guys, this is a great way to catch some really good fish this time of year. So we're going to get into that in today's episode. And also guys, real quick, a reminder, anybody interested in booking a private on the water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat, shoot me a message. All my lessons, guys, we'll cover any technique you want to learn more about. I do most of my lessons on Table Rock Lake and Stockton Lake here in Missouri. So just shoot me a private message for details. Appreciate that. Okay guys, if you're not familiar with it, this is going to be a good video if you've never used a wake bait, or even if you do. A wake bait is a topwater lure that just goes through the water slow like this. You reel it slow through the water just like this, where it looks like a jerk bait. If you reel it too fast, it'll go into the water, but you reel it slow enough to where it just sort of wobbles across the surface. And wobbling across the surface like that real slow, it puts out a V behind the boat, almost like an outboard when you're going. So it creates this V that goes out there. And that's why it's called a wake bait, because it creates a wake behind the bait there. It's a very situational lure. In other words, you have to have just the right conditions to get them on a wake bait. But guys, when you get the right conditions on a wake bait, you can catch some giant bass on topwater. In fact, I'm gonna guess out of all the topwaters I've fished, buzz baits, ploppers, walking baits, chuggers, prop baits, the average size of fish that I catch on a wake bait is bigger than any topwater out there. It's really, really good for that. So let's talk a little bit about, the bait and what you want to set up and look for. The iJack, guys, this is like typical wake bait, guys. It's got a flat lip on it here, which allows you to fish slow, creates a wake. It's also got this, real nice rattling. So when this thing goes through the water, it creates that rattle just like that. And you can hear, the fish can hear it from a long way, and they can also see the wake. So what I do with it is I fish it on a long rod. I usually fish it on at least a 7.5 foot rod. 12-pound test monofilament line. You don't want to use fluorocarbon or braid because it'll make it sink in the water a little bit. 12-pound mono. And the way that you fish it is you throw it out there and you keep your rod tip high. You keep your rod tip like at 11 o'clock position. That way it doesn't tend to dive down, it'll stay surface, and just slow crank it like that. You want to crank it just slow enough to make it move. And if you start noticing when you crank it, if you start cranking too fast, it's going to sort of want to go into the water. Just slow your retrieve up and keep your rod tip high. So it's pretty simple to fish like that. More importantly, in order for a wake bait to work, you got to have the right conditions. It's all about conditions. Number one, you got to have clear water. You got to have water visibility. I like water visibility of at least 3 foot. Ideally, give me like 4, 5, 6 foot of clarity. It's a sight bait that'll pull fish up out of deeper water. So the cleaner, the better. If you gave me an ideal water visibility, I'm going to say 5 foot of clarity would be perfect for it. Next thing with a wake bait is you got to have pretty calm conditions. I prefer glass smooth conditions for a wake bait because the fish can hear it from a long way and they can see that V on a calm body of water. You can have a tiny little bit of ripple, but you can't have a chop. If you've got a chop, it'll dive. So you got to have just a tiny, tiny ripple on the water, preferably calm condition. Next with it is you can catch them on a sunny day with it, but I definitely prefer cloudy. So here's a perfect condition. Springtime of the year, April or early May, water temperature between 60 to 70 degrees, 4 to 6 foot of water visibility, not much wind, and a cloudy sky. Guys, if you get those situations, pack this away in your memory bank. If you get those conditions, you better put your wake bait on and go fishing. And the number one place to fish a wake bait on, guys, in the springtime of the year is a secondary or main lake point, specifically a secondary point, because in the springtime of the year, there's always bass on points, because those bass that are getting ready to spawn or have spawned use those points. And some bass will even spawn on points. If you've got a lake that has a lot of smallmouth or spotted bass, they will spawn on points. So secondary points is my #1 area for these things. And what I'll do is I'll get out there like in 15 to 25 foot of water on those points, and I'll just saturate everywhere. I'll make one cast into 4 or 5 foot of water on the point. My next cast, I'll cast across the point in 10 to 12 foot of water, and I may turn around and fire a cast out in 20 or 30 foot of water. But I'm fishing everywhere around that point with that wake bait, just probably making 50 or 60 casts on one point. And guys, if there's any bass on that point, I don't care if they're suspended or if they're on the bottom in 15 or 20 foot, with those conditions, you'll pull them up on this wake bait and catch them on it. It's good for all 3 species, smallmouth, spotted bass, and largemouth. And one trick, guys, for all you dudes out there that fish smallmouth up north, like in those northern lakes, you fish a wake bait in the summertime for big smallmouth, like on the Great Lakes, those type of bodies of water, you'll catch a giant smallmouth on this thing. So anyway, guys, give it a try, file it away, Megabass iJack, link in the description, get you a good topwater bite. So hope it helps. We'll see you.